My name is Michael Dworkin. I'm the president of Physicians for Global Survival, co-hosting this evening with Canadian Association of Physicians for the Environment, CAPE. PGS and CAPE have worked together on issues of peace and environment for a number of meetings, and we're delighted to welcome you all here today for this special event in which we have the honor of presenting Elizabeth May. The topic, Healing the Planet, Creating a Sustainable and Peaceful Future, touches all of us, and how appropriate that President Obama yesterday in the UN said exactly that. We must abolish nuclear weapons, free of this threat that can destroy the planet. Our own organization has been working over 28 years to abolish nuclear weapons, prevent war, working to promote nonviolent conflict resolution, promote social justice in a sustainable world. A high achievement. We're still working on it. We continue working on it. And as Douglas Roach said, we'll never give up. We are part of a larger international organization called IPPNW, the International Physicians for the Prevention of Nuclear War, an organization that won the 1985 Nobel Peace Prize. At the height of the Cold War, citizen diplomacy, physicians working on both sides of the divide, American, Canadian physicians working with Russian physicians, saying that there are no winners to nuclear war. Only through nuclear abolition and the prevention of nuclear proliferation can the world become a safer place. That movement has continued now to a new front called ICAN, the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons. And in the year ahead, when we are working towards a comprehensive test-ban treaty and having leaders of the world recognizing that the threat of nuclear war has not gone away with the Cold War, and that we must all have a common vision in terms of nuclear disarmament. My special mention this evening is to give you a commemoration to a very special person who I've really admired over the many years. As many of you know, Muriel Duckworth died recently, and this evening is commemorated to her memory. She did live 100 years, and to the very end, she voiced her opinion that we all have to speak out for injustice and the prevention of war. My colleague, Jean Zéby, will now introduce our guest, Elizabeth May.
Thank you. I have the intense pleasure of introducing Elizabeth, although I'm sure that she needs no extended introduction right now. Elizabeth has been an inspired and passionate activist, writer, and now politician for over 30 years. And from her roots in Nova Scotia all the way through her many exploits, and including her obtention of her law degree in Dalhousie, and finally multiple honorary degrees from various organizations for her exploits, to the point of being called an Officer of Canada in 2005. Since 2006, she's been the leader of the Green Party of Canada, and it is my intense pleasure to have her here to give us an idea of how to limit the two most intense crises of our times. One is, of course, the risk of nuclear holocaust, and the second, climate change. Now, as many of us are aware, nuclear energy is often used as a possible solution for climate change, and yet many of us in the room have serious questions as to whether that is truly the way to go in the future. And tonight we're here to hear one of our most esteemed individuals speaking about those two problems simultaneously. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you for that lovely introduction, Joe, and also thank you, Michael. You may not know this, and I'm very moved to realize that this evening is dedicated to Muriel. of all things, when I was a young law student, well, not to delve too far into the autobiographical thread, because I can get lost by doing that, but I didn't actually go to undergrad. My family moved to Cape Breton when I was a teenager, and my family made the somewhat unwise decision to run a restaurant and gift shop on the Cabot Trail. So my pre-law background was, in fact, waitressing and cooking. And when I decided, and I found out there was a program to go to law school as a mature student, at that point I had a lot of very, very good friends already through the movement, because I've been working in the environmental movement for quite a while as a volunteer and waitress and cook. And I managed to get into Dalhousie Law School as a mature student, and then began to think, well, where am I going to live? And a very dear friend of mine, who by another lovely coincidence is Doug Roche's sister, said, Muriel Duckworth's looking for young people to share some space. She's renting it. So I shared the upper floor of Muriel's house with Doug's niece, Josie, and the two of us were basically housemates with Muriel Duckworth and Betty Peterson. The four of us were a sort of an unusual sorority. And we worked together on peace and environment issues and collaborated on many, many things, including the usual meal prep and doing the dishes. But Muriel was essentially, Muriel and Betty used to love to laugh about it and try to tell people, well, oh, of course, Elizabeth we were all together when Elizabeth was at law school. And this would leave people scratching their heads and trying to figure out, when did Muriel and Betty go to law school and how were they all in the same year? But losing Muriel, I was at her 100th birthday party last November 1st, and she came close to 101, and it's been the kind of loss that's difficult to speak of, but thank God you don't have to say well, there's never a time that someone isn't taken too soon. You want a little bit more. But a rich and full and wonderful life and a tremendous contribution to the peace movement. So it's wonderful to be here and dedicate this evening to Muriel Duckworth. There's another bit of a coincidence which you may not know about as well, which is the link between the Green Party of Canada and the Canadian Association of Physicians for the Environment, which is that we were founded by the same person. The first leader of the Green Party of Canada was Dr. Trevor Hancock. So while one can never give credit to Trevor all by himself for founding CAPE, I think safe to say, Warren, he was there at the beginning. And we started a little group, well, back in 1980, we decided that the content of our politics was devoid of issues that really mattered, like nuclear issues, like the environment. Oh, so much has changed. And anyway, a few of us decided we would run in something called, I had to make up a name. I decided to call it the Small Party, so that the various candidates that I'd found in 6 provinces who had agreed to run at the last minute, and we had virtually no ability to organize, but we called it the Small Party so we could base all of our policies on E.F. Schumacher and Small is Beautiful. And Trevor got involved in that, working with another doctor named Frank Summers in Toronto who ran there. So then Frank Summers and Trevor decided that this was more than a beau geste. This was more than a one-time thing, that we should all run in different ridings across the country and make a point of these issues. And they formed the Green Party, incorporating it in 1983. So between the links that come down from Helen Caldecott for Physicians for Global Responsibility and Survival, and the Canadian Association of Physicians for the Environment, I may be at this point in the role of chief spokesperson, which is really the job of leader of the Green Party, in a political party. But all the roots that lead me to stand here now are linked very much through the grassroots, through the good earth of a social movement, of a political movement, of a green movement that includes all of you. So please, by all means, stay nonpartisan, but we all come from the same roots. So